Our topic today is jobs, employment. Last episode, which was a while ago, I think it was
Mhm.
almost a year ago
Oh,
that we did the
um,
last episode.
to be fair, we were busy.
Of course, well, as the topic suggests, we
The topic
got
suggests.
employed.
Oh, thank God, in this job market. Fucking hell.
Oh, truly. I mean, you had an intense job training program. I got hired through like a pool, but like I wouldn't say
Mm-hmm.
that we necessarily went through the like LinkedIn job hell to get where we are.
Yeah. I mean, I still did like quite a few applications because like technically finished school in December, but I had been searching for jobs since October at the very least.
Yeah.
And the entirety of like January, February, and March was just applying to a shit ton of jobs and getting ghosted.
Yeah. You really need to do your job search like at least 5 months before you're actually expecting to like be out of
Oh
either
yeah.
school or work, which is funny because in my experience, the when actual openings uh, open up, it's like, oh yeah, we're
Mhm.
looking for someone in 4 weeks. And it's like,
Yeah.
it makes more sense to wait last minute, even though that doesn't feel like it should be the case. But if
Mhm.
recruiters are shit at their jobs, then it makes more sense to wait. But it's tough.
Yeah.
I do think it's good to do like one batch of like job applications for openings that like don't specify a start date. And then one
Yeah,
batch
yeah.
for those that are like, we need someone soon once you're like closer to your date.
Mhm. I just like have a bunch of applications and like job postings that are like inventory, um, for a specific season or something like that, and just apply like the second it opens up.
That's
And
actually a
when
good
it's
point.
done and
It makes sense to
mhm.
do like if you're like proper like unemployed, it makes sense to do like start a new job search at every season,
Mhm.
especially
Yeah.
looking for summer jobs and stuff. Because yours is
But no,
technically a summer job.
technically summer job. I can They say that we can extend it afterwards, but
Yeah.
you have to go through the application process again, but it's like slightly
Mm-hmm.
different because you're already employed. It's
Mm-hmm.
weird. I'm just gonna wait till I get the email for the applications for the fall term and go from there.
Yeah.
So yeah. But no, job market at the moment has been like pretty shit. Because like, what do you mean? I literally used to work at an like at a grocery store, and I
Mm-hmm.
applied to a different grocery store, and they literally tell me as a cashier, and they literally tell me like, "Oh, well, you didn't have enough experience." The
You're
fuck do you mean?
kidding.
I worked as cashier for 2 years, and you're telling me I don't
What?
have enough experience to be a cashier?
Yeah, what the fuck
Like
were they
that was
expecting?
ridiculous. That was ridiculous when I got that, and I was like, "Y'all, do we know? Do you guys even know what you're talking about?
Yeah.
You
It's
know
hard
what
to
we're
know when they're
doing?"
not like just coming up with excuses.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Oh,
how
but
do
I
I
feel like
know
this.
that you're not just trying to, like, let me down easy? And, like, turns out it's like, oh no, you
Hmm.
had a good amount of experience, but, like, I don't know. Sometimes they're literally not hiring at all. Ghost job
Yeah.
postings are a whole thing. I don't know if we need to get into that whole can of worms, but
I
that's
mean, if we
definitely
want
a
to.
reality. I mean,
Hmm.
it's just like the existential dread of like, oh yeah, you can apply for hundreds of jobs and there's a non-zero chance that none of those are real.
Yeah. Oh my God, I fucked this up. Sorry. Sorry, everyone who's listening. I'm currently sewing, and I realize I did not sew this properly.
That's the reality of doing this over the phone is like
It
we
really is.
both could very realistically just be doing other things at the same time as opposed to when we're face to face it's like maybe we have
Yo.
to pay attention to each other. Maybe I have to look at your face.
If you have to stare at you as you speak, rather like I like to stare at people when they're talking to me, but then
Yeah,
if I'm talking, I hate looking at people.
100%.
It's like I'm gonna be looking at everything else other than that person. But if you're talking to me, you bet your ass I'm staring into your soul. Back to jobs though. One of the things that like genuinely annoys me is like cover letters, and
Yeah.
that'll I understand that jobs typically will like people like to have cover letters just to make sure like, oh yeah, this person is real, it's not just an AI now. And like but even then
But you
like
can
people fucking
still generate a cover letter.
yeah. They like to see that people have put like an effort in it, but it's
Yeah.
also like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna write out like 10 different cover letters every
Mhm.
day.
Mhm.
And that's what I would take into account the cover letters that like you would have already prepped and you just modify like a few things because you're basically applying to the same job, just at
Yeah.
two different companies.
I honestly like to know, like, okay, this company specializes in this, whatever. The problem is that if you go to their website, sometimes they're so fucking vague. And I'm like, I went to
Mhm.
business school. You would think I would be able to like decipher corporate speak. But I remember I was in the interview process for a company and their website said something along the lines of like B2B manufacturing of something. And I was just like,
The fuck does that mean?
okay, fine, but how does that relate to what I'm doing? Because
Yeah.
if I'm in an admin job for like a company that does manufacturing. It's like, okay, fine, I can know that your company does manufacturing. Why would I, as the admin person, care about your company's activities? I'm much more interested in like, okay, well, how many people do you have on staff? How many people do you have on payroll? How does that affect the numbers? Do you have seasonal stuff? Like, and that's not info that they're going to share with random people on their website. That's like actual like insider information.
Mhm. Or sometimes you end up with a website who that is like completely out of date. They just
Oh
have
yeah.
not changed it. And then like fuck their fucking even like address on it is like the last address they were at and they'd moved like 3 years ago and they just never changed it. And definitely not speaking from experience. And then I ended up choosing lot like housing that was near that original address. Turns out that wasn't the right address to choose housing around. I
Like you moved for a
played in
job
that.
and it was too far kind of thing?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It was in the same city. It was when I was doing my exchange like abroad and
Oh.
like it was for my internship and
Okay, okay.
they had a like fuck. The address that was on their official website
Yeah.
was the old address. So I chose when I was looking for like housing, I chose an apartment. Well, technically it was a house, but it was like house slash apartment thing. It was weird. But basically I chose a place that was near that address, and then come to realize like 2 days before when they tell me like, oh, we're meeting up at like this address instead. I'm like, oh, that's not the right address, and now my commute, instead of being 5 minutes, is at least 30 minutes. Mm, lovely. And I can't just like say, oh, actually, I'm not taking this housing anymore. Like, I signed the contract and everything.
Hmm.
I can just like dip out. Like, I learned to live with it. Like, it was fine in the end, but I was still like, oh my God. Just have accurate information on your website, guys.
Yeah.
It should not be that hard.
Did you work fully in person, the internship?
Yeah, yeah. It was all in person. So I had to be there like every day.
Have you ever done a like a hybrid or a remote job?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Because I've done both. I
Mhm,
have
mhm.
I've done a fully in person, I've done a hybrid, and I've done a fully remote.
Which one do you prefer?
That's tough to say because the actual jobs themselves were quite different. Um,
Mhm.
in terms of an office job, I think that hybrid is the best. It gives me the ability to be home and do my chores at home like during my like work breaks and stuff, and it lets me cook at home to make like my lunches, which is kind of nice. And uh it still allows me to go to the office for like meetings and whatnot.
Mhm.
I'd say my office situation is subpar now, and I would much rather be not fully remote, but like work at the office less. With the fully in person job, it was very much this thing of like, um, which it was a fully in person job, but it wasn't a full time job, it was a part time job. And
Mm.
I was going in and it was actually kind of like a whole process. I used to be a lifeguard, you know this.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it was tough cuz like I would have to like change into like my swimsuit and stuff to go, and like
Mhm.
sometimes I was in the water teaching, sometimes I was out the water just lifeguarding and stuff. Balancing that with school was like a whole thing. But I
Mhm.
think that I remember like the fact that I needed to like change into a swimsuit was like a big reason as to why I was like less keen on keeping that as a job. Just
Mhm.
because, especially if you're wearing a one piece, it's like a whole thing,
Yeah.
and going to the bathroom is a whole thing, and you're there for 8 hours, and it's like, oof, it's rough.
Any job that requires you to get changed on site is like
There
I
is
don't quite enjoy that.
there
I'm
is a
not gonna lie.
unique hell to the swimsuit though,
There is
but
the explicit in particular, I agree. Yeah.
But I do think that like having a fully in-person job can be very nice. I think that as a first job, I think it actually probably makes a really big difference because it kind of teaches you like there's enough external motivators for you to actually like do the work, and you actually like feel supervised and things like that, that I think for a first job are really important. Um,
Mhm.
so I don't think I have a clear answer. Because in theory, I would say like, oh well, like remote jobs are really nice and they give you the most flexibility and freedom and whatever, which is true. But then you work a full time job remotely for several years, and you're like, huh, why am I so depressed? And it's like it's because you don't go
Yeah.
outside, and you don't have a good way to keep track of time.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons like I don't think I'd be able to really do a fully remote job.
Yeah.
In part 'cause I'm not the kind of person who likes to just stand behind a screen for most of
Mm.
the day. Like that generally just like drives me crazy. I think that's what I was doing most of the time for the internship. I was just
Yeah.
behind a screen the entire day. But at least I was around like other people because we were all in the same room. We were all interacting regardless. Like that social aspect of it
Hmm.
is something that like I personally crave.
Yeah, people
But
definitely underestimate the impact of having those like little interactions. I do find them
mhm.
incredibly draining, and I fucking hate small talk.
Oh yeah,
But it is genuinely valuable to be like, oh, I went outside and someone saw my face today.
yeah, yeah. And like I particularly like my job at the moment. In part because it's a student job, so everyone, all of the employees, at least at my level, are all students. We all are in university, so there's that aspect, and there's also the aspect that for this specific job, you need to have a pretty open like mindset. So everyone gets along like pretty well.
Yeah.
Some key like there's always gonna be a few bad apples, but overall, it's quite nice. I didn't realize how weird it was to be like working with people who like when the ages are like vastly different
Yeah.
across a job space, like I find that it's sometimes harder to like relate to people because people are all in like such different parts of their life.
Hmm.
When you're surrounded by people who are basically in the same stage as you in life, it definitely helps, I will say, to make like connections.
I have some people on my team that are my age, but
Mhm.
most of the people that I'm around at the office are like much older than me. Um,
Mhm.
and it is interesting to hear people talk about like their home life and their families, and like especially when it comes to like the money side of things and like paying for
Mm,
like
mhm.
cars and houses and things like that. And I'm just so far removed from that that I'm like, cool, that's nice. I'm hoping to buy a concert ticket.
Yeah.
And I will.
Mhm, mhm.
And it's such like it's such a difference. It's funny to me, but it is this kind of thing of like um with my old boss, she had a unique way of talking about her child that kind of always rubbed me the wrong way. And I always related more to her child than her because I kind of like
Mhm.
internalized it as like it was kind of similar to how people talked about me when I was a kid. And
Mm, yeah.
I was like, the things that you're saying about your kid, I guarantee they are internalizing the shit out of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and then I had to put that to the back of my mind because I'm like, this isn't work related. This is just like a impression that I have of you as a person, but it doesn't like make me respect you less professionally.
Yeah, yeah, being able to make that difference. But yes, one of the reasons I brought up uniforms before is that like at my current job we have a uniform
Yeah,
and I do have to like get to work basically at least 15 minutes early every morning for it. But like it's not one of the things that kind of bothers me is that it's not like counted as overtime work, which I get,
right.
but it's also like the work that I'm doing right now, they're kind of stingy about like how you're paid. They're like, oh, if you arrive like a few minutes late, you write that down and you're not paid for those few minutes that you like arrived late for.
Right.
Or if we were to leave like earlier, we're not paid for the hours that like we didn't stay. So I think because of that fact, it makes me like a bit more concerned about the fact that they are asking us to be here basically 15 minutes early every single time and we're not paid for that when there
Yeah.
is make it very clear that they're only going to pay us for the work that we're doing. And I'm like, this is technically work because the second I'm
Mm-hmm.
in uniform, people are like it sends a message to like our clients that like I'm working now when I'm
Yeah.
in reality not and I'm still like doing unpaid work essentially. And like I don't really know how to feel about that, which is why I typically go like I don't like uniforms. I don't like first our uniforms are low key like disgusting. They're fine. I don't really like them. Also, quality of it is
Oh.
debatable, but like I've had to sew up some stuff because there was holes. There was like
Oh.
hemming that needs to be done and stuff. It's a uniform that's been around for very long, and they basically reuse every time like
Yeah.
people leave, right? It just goes back into the pool of uniform to be used. But I don't know where I was going with this. I was going somewhere. Yes,
About
I don't like uniforms.
the extra time and not
Because
being
it is the
paid
kind
for
of
it.
thing. Yeah, because it's the kind of thing they like explicitly told us that we're not allowed to travel in our uniform. We have to get changed on site.
Right.
Which wouldn't bother me, but it's a combination with the other stuff that it's
Yeah.
making it makes me bothered.
I luckily was just able to
That's what
put
I
my
go.
clothes over my uniform and then I could just take
Mm-hmm.
uh like take my pants off and then I'd have my swim shorts.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but it also depends on like how you commute. 'Cause if you're like
True.
cycling and it's a long ride and it's an uphill and you get sweaty and you don't want to be sweaty in your uniform, there's stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But about uh the like the money and being paid end of day, whatever, whatever. Um, I had that at my old job. Like
Mm-hmm.
we, basically the same thing. Like you weren't paid for like if you stayed longer after, even if you arrived early. And I find
Mhm.
that the difference also happens when you go up in like the hierarchy. So our like
Mm.
head lifeguards were also more likely to work like longer because you have to. This is so technical, but like you have to put the pool cleaner into the pool, and so you need to plug it in, et cetera, et cetera, and like sometimes it
Mhm,
takes
mhm.
extra long, stuff like that. Um, and if you go over time, let's say like 5 minutes, you're not paid for that time. I
Mhm,
actually shouldn't
mhm.
speak on this because I wasn't the one doing that, so I don't know for certain. But it did remind me of that. Uh, Also, I don't know, do you know where the expression punching the clock comes from?
No, I don't.
Have you ever heard the expression?
No, this is the first time I'm hearing it. So
Because
please
we do be
enlighten.
French.
We do be French.
Punching the clock is the expression for um like arriving and leaving work essentially, or like being at work and you're punching the
Oh.
clock.
Oh, that's what you mean, like punching in. I've heard that
Yes.
we used to say punch in and punch
Yes.
out at my old
Correct.
job, but I didn't realize it was punching the clock specifically.
I don't know. I'm just quoting an episode of Gravity Falls. So maybe it's maybe it's not the actual expression, but yes, punching in and punching out. Um, Basically, back in the day, there would be
Mhm,
like where you would have the factory. This was like in like I assume during the Industrial Revolution. You would have a clock on the wall, and
mhm,
the clock would have these little like boxes, these little slots with
mhm.
cards inside. And the cards were, I believe it was one for each employee. So basically, at
Okay.
the start of your day, you would take out a card from the slot and then you would physically put it in the clock or like a part
Mhm.
of the clock for it. And then you would like I think it's like this lever type thing, and it would like I think
Okay.
it would stamp the card, and then you
Mhm.
would like put it somewhere, and that was to indicate. I think you just put it back in the slot, and then that would indicate that you like arrived at
Mm.
work. And then at the end
Interesting.
of your day, you would like punch out to indicate that you're leaving. And I assume that it probably actually like the stamp would change by the minute and then like stamp when you arrived and when you left. So then the company could
Interesting.
actually like physically look at that and determine like, okay, this is the amount of time that you worked.
Mhm, mhm. That's really fun. That's just really interesting.
Yeah. I think that's the kind of thing I learned during my degree because we learn about like the history of work.
Yeah.
So that's the bits that I liked because I liked
Mhm,
to
mhm.
learn about like the historical side of things.
Yo.
It is interesting to learn about like early days of manufacturing and like early days of like workforce analysis too.
Mhm.
But then I don't know, it kind of always has been exploitation and it still is because it's always been a thing of like how can we maximize the amount of time that our people are where we need them and producing as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is weird when you're in like the service industry
Mhm.
because you right now are in the service industry and it's not a kind of thing of like because if you stay a couple minutes extra it's not like you're able to do more work per se. I guess it depends and like you could clean. I don't know what your extra tasks are.
In the vaguest way possible, like my job, a lot of it is having to do with like public, with members of the public. So if there is nothing for you to do, they'll typically be sent to like the entrance of our building where we have to greet people, we have to let them in, we have to like talk with them, explain stuff because I'm also like partially like in the tourism sphere, so we get a lot of like people who don't know anything about like Canada as a whole, and you just have to talk to them about it. Um, but eventually, like, if it's you can't really have like we're a lot of people. We're You can't really have 7 people at the entrance to do that job. It gets to a point where like that's way too many people.
Yeah.
So they just send you over to the lounge, so the employees like restroom, and they just tell you to fuck off. Normally you're supposed to be studying because we're in tourism and everything, supposed to be studying fucking Canada and they have like books and stuff like that. We have manuals that we have to know.
Yeah.
Technically you're supposed to study. In reality, they don't really enforce anything, and
Yeah.
so it's very much like a free for all.
I've been told when I like have downtime, like I've finished my task, I've been
Hmm.
told like, oh, well, you can like do some trainings because we have like access to like
Yeah.
trainings on the website and stuff. And I'm like, I think I've done up to like 30 at this point, and they're all like several
Hmm.
hours long. And I'm just like, they start to get repetitive at a certain point, and I'm also like,
Yeah.
I'm just doing this so that I'm not like bored, but like I'm not gonna get an award for doing more trainings. Like, I don't know. Not that I need like a reason to do it per se. It's more a thing of like I get told that because it's like, oh, I'm complaining that I don't have a task to do. And so I get told like, oh, well, find your own task to do. And this is very much not
Hmm.
by like my coworkers. This is like by my family. And I'm like, yes,
Mm.
but you're missing the point. I'm just annoyed that my job is task based so that when I finish my task, I have no work to do.
I feel that. For that, at least like I'm thankful that my job is not that way, is not set up that way, but that is like really frustrating. Also, especially when other people like don't understand that it's frustrating and that you don't necessarily want like a solution to it. You mostly like,
Yeah, I think they do understand because they've been in those situations.
hmm.
I will admit that I might be like sensitive to it. Just because especially like right out of university, you very much go from like being in a position where like you have a large amount of control, especially over your workload when you're studying,
Mm.
right? And then
Hmm.
as
Hmm.
opposed to in like a entry level job, it's very like sit down and do the work that I tell you to do, and like also
Yeah.
try to impress me and try to do it super well so that I'll think of keeping you.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know how good I can be at spreadsheet for you to not fire me.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm very good at spreadsheet. But when I was being a tryhard, the only thing I was getting for it was more time that I wasn't working. I think it's the reason why a lot of people become freelancers is they realize like,
Mm.
oh, I actually don't like not feeling in control over my workload, so I need to like go back into that having that
Hmm.
control.
Hmm. That makes sense. That does seem extremely possible.
And what you
'Cause I
sacrifice
think,
is job security. So
yeah.
unfortunately, I do actually really like job security.
Yeah. I mean, it would fit with also like the sentiment of like people typically tend to be like, oh, like my university years. They tend to like remember their
Yes.
university years here really fondly.
I'm at
I
the
think it.
point where I'm starting to get nostalgic because I graduated, well, I finished my studies almost a year ago. And I definitely
Hmm.
find myself like reminiscing about it and specifically about studying. And I do think it is that thing of like, oh,
Hmm.
I want to be in control of like when I'm doing work and when I'm not.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm. One thing that I found like kind of ridiculous with so the context is with my like new job, we had 2 weeks of training and we are still doing ongoing training
yeah.
even as we're working. Um, and like for first like the ongoing training did not like start the best considering most of our supervisors all got sick at the same time, so we were down from like 10 supervisors to 3.
Oh, jeez.
um, which was really bad timing. It was it was a chaotic week, we'll just put it that way. But, like, at one point, they're like, "Yeah, so for today's ongoing training, we're going to be discussing, like, how to write an effective cover letter and how to, like, fix your resume." And I'm
What?
like, "The fuck? The
You got
fuck?
the
The
job.
fuck ever?"
Why?
Exactly, I was like, "We got the job, we everyone had to write a cover letter and give the resume for
That's so
this
weird.
job.
Yeah.
I would like to think that we all know how to do this if we got the job." I still have to update my resume regardless with this new job,
Yeah.
but that's a future future me problem. Current me is focused on other things.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
No, I mean, especially if you're not actively job searching right now, I think it's okay to put it
Yeah.
off.
Well, I'll probably pick job searching back up like once my first semester is done
Yeah.
and I have an entire semester to look into it.
Yeah. That's good for time. We've mostly been talking about the work itself, but I kind of want to branch out into talking about like specifically work-life balance. And I think we have
Mm.
interesting perspectives on that considering like I'm uh not in school and you are, right? And we've both
Mhm,
worked like
mhm.
both part-time and full-time. You've worked
Yeah,
full-time,
yeah.
right?
I work full time.
Yeah.
I did full time while also having, 'cause I did summer school once. Summer school. I took a course during summer once while I was doing my full-time job, and that very much I was not able to handle that. To be
Hmm.
fair, the course that I chose was a very intensive course. I took it because I
Oh,
thought it was gonna be a bird course.
yeah.
It was not a bird course. I had to, like, conduct an entire research. I had to write a research paper
Right.
of, like, an experiment that I had conducted myself, and I even, like, got a bad grade on it in the end because I just wasn't putting in enough time and effort into it
Yeah.
because I was instead putting it into my full-time job, which really was not that serious because it was just a grocery clerk. I was okay, to be fair, I was cashier. I worked at an independent, so I was a cashier and I was a grocery clerk, and I also did garden center. And they wanted to put me into personal inventory on top of that. And this was all happening while I was having my course.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this anymore, guys. So I fully just like quit. I was like, too much, too much.
Right. I took a course in the summer of my first year. And
Mhm.
same thing, I had the part-time lifeguarding gig, but I was working almost full-time hours, which
Uh-huh.
is fun because you almost work all of the hours and then get none of the benefits.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I would have a course once a week during the evenings. I actually remember really liking it, but I
Mhm.
specifically took a course that was like an introductory course to my major because it was the summer of my first year. Um,
Mm. Yeah.
and so it was something that I liked, I cared about. It was one of, if not my favorite profs. Uh,
Mm.
and it
Mhm.
was also like relatively chill because it was like the summer. So like actually most of my classmates were working full time as well. And we were all kind of understanding of like, okay, well you just kind of like because um it was a lot of like group projects. So just this kind of
Yeah.
understanding of like you work on it when you can.
When you can.
And I did
Yeah.
have a lot of those situations, actually, because most of my degree was group projects. Um,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
most of us were working at least part-time, if not full-time. I've definitely
Mhm,
had
mhm.
like uni friends who were doing whether it was co-ops or just like working full-time and then plus doing their classes. And I'm just like, literally how, and they make it work.
Yeah.
Um,
Some people are like can do it. Other people like
I'm
because
not
I've
sure
had
that they
bad
can.
experiences.
I think
Yeah.
all of them
Some
are
people
burnt
believe
out, but they do attempt to do that for at
there.
least 4 months.
Yes. What I mean is some people are capable of balancing it enough so that it doesn't end up affecting. Specifically, I'm talking about group projects, so it doesn't end up affecting
Right.
the other people within the group. Because I've had really bad experiences with that, and like I've had a few friends. One of my friends is fully cursed with group projects.
Yeah.
This girl keeps getting the worst partners, but like I've had quite a few people who would use essentially the fact that they do also work part-time almost as an excuse to not do any work.
Yes.
And like, oh, that makes me want to strangle them. Because then I'm like, 'cause there are other options. You
Yeah.
can, if you genuinely think that you don't have the time, the energy for have to do both your part-time work and this course, talk to the teacher about this.
Yeah.
Talk to like the teacher most times will be willing to provide accommodations.
Right.
It does happen that some teachers are very stuck up and like refuses anything, but like you can make an effort, talk to your group mates in a way that isn't making clear that like you're expecting them to do the entire group project
Yeah.
because you won't have time for it, but in the sense of like, can they help to like maybe there's a lot of like mental load that just this group project is put onto you. If you
Hmm.
need like very clear instructions, like you need to look up, you need to find like these specific sources that explain these specific things, or you need
Yeah.
to like we're gonna give you the information and you're gonna write it out. So
Yeah.
that way you don't really have to think about it too much.
Hmm.
Or, like there are methods, and I think some people just they're blind and they're selfish. I think is like my experience with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard
But
to generalize in those cases. I
it
definitely
it is
think that
hard,
there
I
are
agree.
some who like literally they took the course as an elective and they just actually don't care and they're just like, "Oh yeah,
Mhm.
and also I'm like overwhelmed." And so they use that as like the justification in their brain to like disconnect from the rest of the team and it's like, "Yeah, but no."
Like, no, you've made a commitment by
Yeah.
also paying money for this course.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact like some people it's like genuinely they are overwhelmed by
Yeah.
the amount of work and like I can't really blame them because it's like we're all experiencing this for the first time. Some people like need to test it out and they realize it just doesn't work for them. Some people are like will recognize it, be like or will fully avoid have ending up in a situation like that or like everyone's different. Everyone's different. Everyone has a different path in life as well. Doesn't make it any less annoying, but I can understand.
I have less sympathy for those situations, especially because uh, when I had full-time school and a part-time job, I was using my like because lifeguards do like rotations. There's time where
Mm-hmm.
you're like there's actually quite a lot of time where you're like technically on shift, you are working and you might have like extra tasks to do, but you're not like actively watching the pool. So like you can bring your attention to other things.
Mm-hmm.
And most people will just like be on their phones during that. But there
Yeah.
is a reason why like it was mostly students where I worked is cuz like during these like because usually it would be either like 20-minute, 40-minute, 45-minute breaks, depending on how many people were on shift.
Mm-hmm.
And like I would have enough time to do like my chapter readings and I would have like my textbook and my notes and I would be doing that. And like if your
Mm-hmm.
shift is long enough, like you can realistically finish your chapter readings during work and then I would like go home and be like, okay, so now what like assignments do I have? I can work on them. This was usually like 8 p.m. to midnight. Like
Mhm.
and then I would go to bed right after, get up at 8 a.m. and go to school, and that's still a full 8 hours of sleep. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it is tough, it is challenging. I was only able to do that for 4 months until I had to like significantly reduce my work schedule.
Mhm,
And luckily I had a job that allowed me to do that. But even at my busiest, I was still doing all of my assignments on time. I was still doing most, if not all, of my chapter readings. Now,
mhm,
due to job circumstances, I was actually like sleep deprived some of the time. And my retention for the material I learned wasn't the best. So it's not something that I necessarily recommend. I definitely wouldn't recommend that people do what I did. I took some early morning shifts, which, unless you really need to do it, I wouldn't recommend. Um, Especially doing that right before like a morning class. And then you also have to
mhm,
commute, et cetera, et cetera. I did that specifically in first and second year of university,
mm,
where the school material was a little bit easier. I'm also in an easier major. Um, I also had coworkers who were in easier majors than me, and they made it work just fine. They worked more hours than I did,
mhm,
and that worked for them. I think doing that with harder majors, more like time consuming ones, it also depends on how many courses you take, because that's a thing that you can
true,
control
for sure.
depending on the university. Understanding what you need in terms of time, effort, understanding what your next term is going to look like is something that you develop later on in your degree that becomes really helpful. But
Mhm,
you kind of sometimes you do learn by trial and error of like, oh, that was actually too much of a workload, versus like, oh, that was actually really easy. And I appreciated the break, but like I'm ready to like
mhm.
pump, pump the gas and get going again.
Yeah, I agree. It is something, like, you learn over time, and everyone had, like, different limits. There's also that.
But it is something that carries into the workplace as well, depending on like the job that you end up having. You end up getting a good gauge for like, okay, when
Mhm,
I get home from my 9 to 5, I have enough energy to cook, to provide to provide for my family, to, do my
mhm,
hobbies, versus like, oh no, I get home and the commute is long and traffic is hell, and then I'm like exhausted.
mhm. Well, you learn to manage it eventually, or you crash and burn.
Yeah. Kind of varies based on the situation. But
Mhm,
I
mhm.
my take is always like, do what you can to make your situation as easy for you as possible, and then
Yeah.
also try to prioritize like the things that will, um I don't know what the right word for this is, but like, if you have the ability to put in even a little bit of time into something that you really enjoy doing, and you know that it will help your mental health a lot, it is okay to prioritize that, as long as obviously like no one else is suffering because of it.
Mhm.
Don't neglect your children because you want to
Yes.
play video games, but like,
Yeah,
maybe
yep,
some
yep.
video games after work is good.
Mhm. All of this to say, a good work-life balance is something that you develop over time. And sometimes people just don't have a good sense of what that is, and
Yeah.
they live their life, and it kind of becomes everyone's problem. But, like,
Oh.
it happens.
Are we thinking of anyone specific? I'm
Not
joking. I'm not gonna call you out.
particularly.
No,
I
it's
can think of a
it's
few
very
people
much a
who that applies
universal
to, but
universal experience,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm in a situation right now where, like, I am oh, why the fuck does it look like that? Sorry, I'm also drawing at the same time as we're talking. But I moved on.
Right.
Um,
Sewing to
right,
drum.
right, right. Yes, well, yes. What was I saying? Yes, right now I'm also, 'cause I have my full-time job, but I also tutor on the side, and I am babysitting quite often for for a colleague of my mom's. They just had a newborn, so they really need help. They have 3 kids in total. They're all really young, so I hop in at least once a week. At this point, it's almost becoming like twice a week. So that entire thing of like figuring out also like once you come back from work, you determine like how much energy do you have left to do
Mhm.
like your daily tasks and whatnot? Can you cut them down? Can you move them, shift them around so you
Yeah.
are still getting them done throughout the week? They're just not done like at the same time as you usually would have them scheduled for and stuff like that. And it's something that I am very much noticing, and I'm in a situation where like I can see myself easily get burnt out, and I'm
I'm
actively
surprised you're not
trying
burnt out yet.
not. I'm I am very surprised I'm not either. I think it definitely helps that that I do get 2 days off, and typically one of those days off, if I'm working weekends, I will have like 2 days in the middle of the week off, and that definitely helps. It helps that when I have at least one day off where I'm nowhere near like any of my family and it's just me at home, so I can get
Right.
everything done at my pace. Because like today was a bit chaotic because it's a weekend day and I needed to be, it was like my turn this week to cook for the entire family, which thank God for meal prepping because I would not have the patience or the time to be manually making my meal for like every time because I got used to
Yeah.
doing that in university. I got used to being able to set aside like an hour or two every day solely for cooking, and I love cooking,
Mm.
but like I don't have that time right now.
Yeah. No, same. I definitely used to cook more in university. I do like that I meal prep now. Um, but there is a
Mhm.
thing of like when I don't have the energy to meal prep, I still have to do it because then I don't have meals for the next
Yeah.
several days. So,
Yeah.
but it makes a big
Yeah.
difference in terms of um like at especially at the office, not having to like buy lunches and figure out what I'm gonna eat. And like
Mhm, mhm.
we just have like access to your typical like office food court. And
Mhm,
personally,
mhm.
it's not necessarily the type of food that I want to have every day.
Yeah.
So I like to cook my own meals, but obviously, not everyone has the ability to do that. So, you know, not
Mhm,
judging.
mhm. Yo, yo, yo. Yeah. One thing that I definitely am very grateful for, like in terms of meals, like sometimes I don't want to eat the food that's been prepped because I got so used to eating like different things all the time that now having to eat the same thing all the time is 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 a it's just getting taking some getting used to. But I've been like looking into like all the different restaurants like around and the different like takeout places, and I did find a really good like and relatively cheap as well, like Korean place where I can just pop in, buy like a kimbap for it's like one of those like really big ones for
Oh yeah.
for $10 plus a
I'm pretty sure
drink.
I know which place
And
you're
like
talking about, but
yeah.
yeah. It's good to
Oh
find spots
yeah.
like that.
It just makes me happy. I find it and I'm like, oh my God. Well now I know that I'm coming back quite often. I'll come back.
We don't really live somewhere where kimbap is just like easy to find, where it's
Easy
just like, oh yeah,
yes.
you can get some at the convenience store. Like we don't.
No, 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 no. You gotta go out looking for that shit.
Yeah.
I do believe like part of it is having a social life also, and like I know this also because I work with members of the public. Um, that it does get really tiring, and it does like tire out your social battery really quickly.
Yeah.
But also like I'm the kind of person that will recharge just by hanging out with friends, even if it's
Extroverts.
not something extroverts, even if it's not something that like we're actively doing an activity together.
Yeah.
Even it's just a simple fact of we're just in the same room and we're just enjoying each other's company.
Hell yeah.
Like we might be both be doing two different activities, but that's the fact that we are like on call together.
Yep.
It helps.
I think Discord is good for that because you don't actually have to like leave the house and like you don't need to be
Mm-hmm.
doing the same activity together and you can just like get on call together and just kind of talk about like how was your day?
Yeah. Or even then, like just listen to each other like go about your day. But you're like, I don't know. I enjoy it, and I have been making an effort like recently with the job and everything.
Hmm.
I realized that like I've been meeting a lot of my friends and a lot of people who I like lost contact with as well.
Yeah.
Which I do like genuinely enjoy. Like I thought it'd be the opposite. I thought I'd start the job and I would go like MIA for 4 months. But no, like
Exactly.
it's
Because a lot of people do that during school and then
yeah.
you
Yeah,
get a
yeah.
full-time job and you're like, oh, I actually want to do more things.
Hmm.
What are some things that you do that aren't like socializing?
I draw. I'm picking up drawing again, but right now I'm mostly sewing. I have a sewing project that's just been untouched that I really need to get working on. I think I'm gonna have like 3 days off at one point because I asked for time off for my graduation. So I'm getting 3 days off. So I'll be able to work on it during then. But because I've had to like fix up a few of my like uniforms, uh, I've been sewing a lot more, and I'm like, oh wait, actually, I forgot I wanted to fix up like this dress. I wanted to like modify like this thing as well. So I'm doing a lot of sewing right now. I used to be, well, I still am a big gotcha player, but I've kind of been letting that stuff fall to like the backside. It's just been like, oh, every once in a while, if I have time, I'll open, I can't fucking speak, open Honkai, but like I don't, or Cookie Run, but I don't play it as often. It's not all consuming like it was when I was unemployed. I had a lot more time
Yeah.
to do all the like tedious things, and now I definitely don't have the time for that.
Yeah. That's why people talk about like unemployed behavior or like the fact that some people who
Yeah.
are like really deeply into fandoms are unemployed. Sometimes it is just a kind of thing of like, yeah, they just have more time and they need to do something
Mhm.
with it.
Yep. Yep. And if you like get something and it just becomes all consuming and you're like obsessions also happen. But yeah, I went to a con the other day, so I have a lot of prints that I need to put up on my walls that I just haven't gotten around to doing. So I might do that tomorrow actually, because I have the day off.
Hell yeah.
That's the reason why we're recording this right now, because I had a day off today.
Yay.
Today and tomorrow. Yay! But I'm babysitting tomorrow, so is it really a day off? I think it is. I count that.
Sometimes it's about mindset.
It is about the mindset. Sometimes it's just about the fact that I can wake up at 10 a.m.
Mm.
and like that's fine. I don't
Well,
need to
because
be up by 7.
there's a difference between like work routine and day off routine. And even if you are doing
Yeah,
something that is work adjacent during your day off routine, or you're just spending the whole day doing chores, it
it's
doesn't
still a day off
necessarily feel
routine.
like
Yeah.
work.
Yep. Vales, what about you? Any hobbies?
I was like really conscious about getting back into my hobbies or like keeping the ones that I had when I did start working full
Uh-huh.
time. I
Hmm.
will sometimes not sometimes. Usually I'll have my sketchbook in my backpack, so if I want to like sketch something really quick, then I'll do
Yep.
that. And I've almost filled my first sketchbook. I'm definitely
Yay.
slower on progress these days. Art Fight is coming up next month, so I will be
Mhm.
likely drawing essentially any of my non-working hours. Because I find it quite fun to like fully put myself into it, especially if it's just like 1 month out of the year. But
Mhm.
the 31 days definitely is quite long.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, what else? I've been I've gotten into dance essentially.
Mhm.
I've been dancing for a very long time, but I stopped when like after I quit competitive dance. Um, COVID happened right after, and I kind of
Yeah.
stopped until now, until a few weeks ago. And I was like, I have some choreo that I want to learn, and I've been learning it, and it's been a fun time. Shout out to Xlove for having fun choreo. And honestly, shout out to all of my favorite groups, the ones that aren't the bands because they don't have choreo. But some, yeah, the ones lately have been like XG, Zero Base One, X Love. It's fun things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that was the more recent one, and that's been a fun time. I also play video games basically every day. Love doing my dailies. Um,
Mhm.
I like the cozy games, and I'll, you know, I watch
Yep.
I watch BL. I watch YouTube.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
I watch my shows. Uh, I sit on my porch. I don't do that anymore, really, but for a little while I would sit on my porch. I would read.
Yeah.
I read significantly more books than I used to,
Yay.
because I work full time, which is cool. Audiobooks are also great. I'll pop in an audiobook and like finish it in like a day or two.
Mhm.
Uh, I also, during my work hours, I like to download episodes of like D&D campaigns, and then I'll like
Mhm.
listen to them at work because like most of them are like 2 to 6 hours long,
Yeah.
and that's perfect for me. Like you would think that like long form video would be perfect for like unemployed people, and it is, but it's also perfect for employed people because I love me some.
Mhm.
My mom calls it background noise, and I'm like, I get it, but I am also like fully invested in what's
Oh
happening
yeah.
a lot of the time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's more like my work is the background activity and my main activity is
Mhm.
listening to Critical Role, you know?
Well, yes. That is exactly what I was doing when I was like doing my internship. I
Mm,
just listened to like every single one of Dimension 20's campaigns during my like internship time.
fuck yeah.
Like that's all I did. I went through every single one of their campaigns, everything that was like publicly available that I
On
didn't have to
YouTube,
pay
yeah.
for.
Hmm.
Went through all of it.
I did that during my uh I want to say first year of uni.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's so good. Good times.
Yo, congrats to us for being employed in this
Yay.
state of the world.
Truly, truly do not quit your job.
Yo,
It's so
unless you have a
tempting
backup.
sometimes. No, even then, don't quit your job. Well, I mean, don't quit your first job. You can quit your third job, you can quit your second job. Don't quit your first job.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Even if it's the one causing you the most pain. If it's bringing in the most money, that's the one you should keep.
Hmm. Unless you have a really good backup that can take over your first job. In that case, that doesn't become a first job anymore.
Yeah, this has
Mm.
been episode 2 of the podcast.
Woo!
Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for being a great co-host as always.
Cute. I can't fucking speak. Thank
Yeah.
you for having me. It's always a great time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.